Good day, friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Favi and you're watching Arrows DIY. Today I'm teaming up with my friend Kim over at Creative DIY Purpose to bring you some glass bottle upcycles, so I hope that you enjoy. For our first project, I'm going to be upcycling this beautiful balsamic vinaigrette bottle. I love that green color and I thought that this would be a beautiful decor piece with a little bit of love. So we're going to go ahead and just clean the outside of the bottle using some rubbing alcohol. And now I'm just going to use one of these Iron Orchid Designs transfers in the booklet called Brocante. I'll link it below if you're interested. And this particular transfer is so beautiful. I thought it would pop and complement the green color in the bottle nicely. So I just cut it out, and once the rubbing alcohol was completely dry, I'm going to go ahead and just place it. The grid pattern makes it very simple to get it centered. And then once I have the position, I just press it down real good. Now I'm going to use a craft stick. You can use anything, a credit card, a craft stick. I couldn't find the little scraper that comes in the package, but like I said, you can use anything. I'm going to go ahead and rub all over the surface of this transfer. And once I do that, I'm going to fold it over very carefully, trying my best to keep it tight on the edge. And before I fold it down on that side, I'm going to cut a little bit of the bottom to help it fall nicely. Once I got that edge pressed down, I'm going to carefully lay the transfer down and just rub section by section. You could also separate the wording by cutting that section out, and that might make it a little easier for you as well. I just find that these transfers make it so simple to transform glass bottles into beautiful home decor. So simply. If you've never used transfers before, a pro tip for the IOD transfers is that once you've already rubbed down the entire surface of your transfer, you can just create a little ripple on the edge of the clear film and just kind of push that ripple through the clear film, and it will just separate that transfer from the film. And if you find that a little piece did not transfer, just line it up right where it should go and rub it, and it's just that simple. It should just come right off. Sometimes you have to press it to put a little bit of heat from your finger on it. But as long as your surface is completely dry or your paint is completely dry on whichever project, the transfer should just detach easily. Now, as you can see, I used the clear film and I just burnished the entire transfer to make sure it's pressed onto the surface. Now, if that wording on top, that etched writing bothers you, you can cover it with some floral here and just tie it on with some twine. But I actually liked it because it looks like it's part of the transfer. It matches the wording on the side. So now I'm going to use some clear wax from Waverly to seal this project. I'm just going to add a good amount on there and lightly, ever so lightly, using my wax brush, I'm going to apply it, trying to get into all of those pigments. Very lightly in a circular motion, we're just going to apply this clear wax. I'm going to let it sit for a minute or so, and then using a dry baby wipe, I'm just going to wipe off the excess. That way this transfer is protected depending on whichever room you want to display this decor piece. It's not going to damage the transfer itself. It's so beautiful. I think this white color looks so good against that green. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments below. So as I mentioned before, I'm being joined by my friend Kim over at Creative DIY Purpose. If you haven't seen her channel, guys, you will not be disappointed. She has the most beautiful DIYs, upcycles, everything on a budget with vintage, beautiful vignettes. So many ideas. If you need inspiration, she's the one-stop shop. So right after this video, be sure to check out her channel in my description box below and let her know I said hi. For this next project, I'm going to go ahead and upcycle this old beer bottle. I love the shape and the color of it. When I was taking the labels off, I almost took off the gold, and then I was like, wait a minute, this is like free gold leafing. So I decided to leave the gold on top. Now I'm going to go in with this Fusion Mineral Paint. I love it because it's first a beautiful soft yellow color, and also it has a built-in sealer, so I don't need to seal this paint, which is a bonus. You guys know I'm a busy mama of 6. I don't have time to be waiting for paint to dry and then sealing and all these things. So this was a very convenient choice for me. My first time trying Fusion paint, and guys, I love it so far. So I gave this bottle 2 coats of that Fusion mineral paint, and once that's fully dry, I'm gonna add 1 more coat because we're going to apply a paint inlay. So the first step would be to add a really thick coat of paint on the area where I want to apply the paint inlay. I make sure that this is large enough to cover the paint inlay. This is the one I want to use, the bee pattern. I love making bee decor. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut the 1 image. And then once that's cut out, it came out of this package called Melange by Iron Orchid Designs. And I'm going to spritz it with water. So I'm just going to I'm going to reuse this little spritzer I had from like a face mist, and it just has water inside. And I'm going to give it a couple sprays, and I make sure to be about 6 inches away from the image. And we want to dampen this image and let it sit in the water for maybe like a couple seconds. And then I'm just going to apply it into the wet paint, face down with the grid side facing you. And then we're just going to press it into the paint. Now we want to embed the paint into the paint inlay. So we're going to use a dry, well, kind of slightly damp baby wipe. And I'm just going to press it in. You can use a cloth, a paper towel, anything. You just want to really embed the paint pigment into the wet paint. Once you make sure that every single section of this paint inlay is pushed in to the wet paint, we're going to let this dry completely. Ideally, you would want to let it dry 2 hours about, depending on the temperature and humidity of your room. But you could also use a heat gun to speed up the process. So this is the second time I use this inlay, which is amazing. You can use paint inlays up to 3 or 4 times. So the previous project that I used this paint inlay on was kind of like gray. It was into a gray paint. So I do have some gray paint on this inlay, and it's going to transfer over to this project. You'll see little bits of gray paint when I peel this up. Once this is fully dry, I'm going to spritz this paper. Once again, we're going to wait a couple seconds for the paint to detach from the film. So wait about a minute, 30 seconds, whatever you feel comfortable waiting with, and then we're gonna peel it up. Now, if you find that it is not peeling up easily, you will have to spray it some more and wait a little bit more, because it does need to release from the paint inlay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and spritz it and wait and peel it up. And this is what it looks like when it releases from the film. Apologies if you hear my kids. I think they're playing. I hope. So this is the second time. The second time you use a paint inlay, it is going to be a little bit more faint, but I love vintage decor. Let me know in the comments below if you love vintage decor, but I love botanical, nature-inspired decorations. So this is going to fit right into my home. I don't sell my projects. I could in the future. A lot of my people, like my family, are encouraging me to sell. I don't know. I don't think I'm ready to take the plunge yet, but I don't know. I'm kind of considering it. So this is what it looks like once it is fully transferred on. As you can see, there's little tiny bits of the gray paint on there. I do like the variety of paint color there, but I don't like those raised areas, so I do sand them down in just a bit. So now I'm going to use some of these molds by Redesign by Prima, and I'm just going to use some hot glue to make some charms. You could use resin, you can use clay, whatever your heart fancies, but I'm just using some hot glue because that's what I had on hand, and it's on a budget. And it works great for me in my home. I don't have high temperatures here in my area, so I'm not afraid of it you know, detaching, and it's worked for me in the past. I've done this for about 2 years now, and it works great. So I use a high temperature glue gun, a detailed tip glue gun, and I just fill in both of these molds. The first one, the gray one, is from Redesign by Prima, like I said, and this pink one is from Amazon. I'll try to link them both in the comments below, but as you can see here, I just fill in the molds, try to keep them flat. Don't overfill, because if you do, then it'll have like a raised area and it'll kind of be detached from your project. So you want to make sure to not overfill them and kind of slam them onto your surface as they're drying while they're still very, very hot. That way any air bubbles are pushed out and all the details are more present. So once they're fully dry, this is what they look like. And I'm going to use some Tite Bond glue as well as some hot glue to attach this mold. I painted it gold off camera in the color Mayan Gold by Folk Art. And I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of Tite Bond glue, not overly applied, just barely in different spots. And then I'm going to use some hot glue in different spots as well. You don't want the two glues to interact. I heard that could interfere with the adhesion. So just make sure that you add the Tite Bond glue first and then your hot glue, so that you know your hot glue doesn't get cold. And then I'm just going to attach it to the piece like so. Super simple. And I do show you the bottle for the Mayan Gold in a little bit. If you're interested, I'll try to link everything in the comments below. And my subscribers get, I think, 15% off all of the paint and brushes as long as you use my discount code, which is FAVI123 on the website, because I always look out for you guys. So that's for your crafty pleasure. It's definitely a shabby chic kind of French country vibe to this one. I love French country decor as well. I'm very eclectic in my style. I like farmhouse, shabby chic. So if you like that kind of thing, I invite you to subscribe, join our crafty family here on YouTube. And it was beautiful just like this. I didn't have to add anything else, but I did. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this little crown from the Redesign by Prima mold. I want to add some lights into the inside of this bottle, like some fairy lights. So I'm going to scuff it up so that the light shines through these little sanded parts. I use some sandpaper and I sand off the edges and just some random scuffs everywhere. And then I really focus on the body of the bee, because I really want that bee body to shine. Just keep in mind, when you use a paint inlay, your paint is still activated, so you do need to seal it or else it can smudge. You can also blend that paint to actually add color to your paint inlay once it's transferred. So when I was sanding, it kind of was blending a little bit. Just keep that in mind. You do want to seal the project, and I seal all of these projects with a clear spray sealer by Rust-Oleum off camera. So here I'm just adding a little decorative feature to the top of the bottle to give it a more finished rustic look. And I just used some jute twine, as you saw there, with some hot glue. I use Gorilla hot glue. It's the only hot glue I trust. And I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of antique wax to the crown as well as the little gold piece on top, because I feel like it makes it more rustic and match the rest of the bottle. It was looking a little too clean for my liking. If you know, I add a good amount of antique wax and then I wipe it off the excess to have just a light distressing on there. And I'm loving the way it looks. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments below, because it tickles me. It really does. For this next project, I'm going to be using this beautiful bottle. It was from Rum, and I just love the shape and that beautiful angel wings. Oh my goodness. I think this is the most beautiful bottle I've ever seen. I don't really like what it's called, but you know, I can't control the world. So I went to a family event, I saw this bottle, and guys, I have no shame. I literally asked, can I keep this bottle? And they were like, yeah, sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and do what I've been planning to do. I think I've had this for like 2 years in my stash. So I'm so glad I get to do something with it today. I'm going to go ahead and clean it with the rubbing alcohol, just like I did with the others. And then I'm going to tape it off with some blue tape, because I cannot paint a straight line to save my life, and I want to protect this. Now the blue tape I run on the edge, and then when I get to the top there, I kind of make it into like a teardrop shape. But you know, you can do whatever you like on top. I am planning to add some of those molds on top, so I do want it to kind of come into like a teardrop shape. Hopefully I'm making sense. Sorry, it's been kind of crazy in my house lately, so words are not coming to me as easily as normal. And it's been a while since I've uploaded, so it's hard. The words are not coming to me right now. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. I use the blue tape, I tape it off, like so. So once this is all taped off, I'm going to paint. Now I wanted to, okay, so there's a technique where you can put a paper towel with some vinegar and leave it in a plastic bag with the paper towel on top of the words. And you leave it there for I think a couple days, and then you can just scrape off the words. Now I didn't have that time invested, but my friend Lianne over at Simply Enjoying Crafting did it. So I'll link her video below if you want to see how she took the words off of her glass bottle in her video. And it worked great. So if you have the time, you can go ahead and get that technique done. Now I just wanted to do a quick get it done kind of thing. I really wanted to see the transformation on this bottle, so I just went ahead and added white paint. Now what I did wrong was I should have let the white paint dry completely before I went in with all these other colors. Now I'm trying to create sky. As you can see here, I'm using a different color paint, 3 different colors of paint. The first one is the white on the words. Then I come in with this blue color called nautical blue, and I'm trying to make it sky, so I'm just blending them all together. No rhyme or reason, it's very simple, just to create a nice sky effect. I did not let the white paint dry, so it kind of blended and turned the white paint into blue paint, and it's not that noticeable right now, but once it dried, it is very, very evident that the words are still there, and it was kind of irking me. So guys, I had to scrape it. I had to scrape it off, and I said, okay, well, you know, it's okay. We could just scrape this area off and paint it white. These things happen. These things happen. We get excited, and I don't know about we, but I don't really follow rules. So just on your project, you can do the paper towel vinegar method in a plastic bag to get those words off altogether and scrape it with a razor. Or you can let your white paint dry, which I should have done originally before I made the beautiful sky mural. But I think the sky looks so good behind those angel wings because it kind of gives that ethereal. Now that is just going to serve as the background of our wing. It's not going to be the back of the bottle. We're going to paint over all of this. But first I wanted to add a decorative detail to the side of the glass bottle, and also to cover that line on the side of the bottle. So I'm going to use some of this Dollar Tree lace, and I'm going to cover that edge using the same Gorilla Hot Glue. I'm going to add this detail to the side of the bottle, and it's not going to be obvious because we're going to paint over everything, and it's just going to look like a casting. It's going to give that decorative detail, and so much detail that I don't think clay can do in such a delicate form. Now I'm going to take some of these molds from this pink mold from Amazon, and I'm going to use the scrolly bits, and I'm going to hot glue them and tight bond glue them to the top there. And just as before, a small amount of tight bond glue and a small amount of hot glue to hold it in place as the tight bond. Not quick. Quick and thick. That's what I was thinking. Sorry. As the tight bond sets. So once that's in position, I'm trying to make sure it's even. I'm eyeballing it because I don't measure. I probably should. It's funny because I don't measure anything. I have a real problem. But I'm going to go ahead and just glue these. I'm going to tape this to hold it in place as the glue sets. And I'm going to do the same thing to both sides. So once it's fully dry, I take off the tape, and now we're going to paint everything with my favorite color, Foggy. This is my favorite color of all time. I use it all the time. If you're on my channel, you know I love this color. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint the entire thing in this foggy color. And this is going to give it that French country aesthetic, which I love. Now at first, I just paint over everything with this chalk paintbrush. And I'm going to get into all the nooks and crannies. I'm going to use a circular motion around those little mold areas to get into those crannies. And I'm going to use a heat gun. The heat gun is going to dry each coat of paint. And then once the first coat of paint is dry, I'm going to come in and do a pouncing motion to add some texture to my bottle. And this is my favorite part. This texture looks so good at the end. And I'm going to go ahead and just pounce all over the entire thing. I do have a good amount of paint on my paintbrush, and then I just pounce it all around. And I paint the top, the sides, all around. I also make sure to get right on top of that blue paint because I want to create a crisp line when I peel off that blue tape, which is kind of my favorite part. I know I said pouncing was, but now that I think about it, I think blue tape, that part is my favorite. And I put the heat gun really close to the paint to try to add a crackle. Now I want to add like a patina kind of effect. So I use this chalk paint in the color Pine. And I'm just going to dab my chalk paint brush into the lid to have the tiniest amount. And then I'm just going to randomly dab it on different spots where I think moss and mold and mildew and just aging patina, like that kind of effect on these little areas. And then I take a cloth and kind of wipe it back a little tiny bit. Now I want to add a little bit more aging. So I'm going to take the antique wax and ever so lightly, guys, like barely any antique wax on my brush. And mind you, I have not cleaned my brush. I'm just blending these colors together. So I'm going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. With a very light hand, a very little amount of antique wax. We're just going to go back and forth. And this is going to accentuate all that texture that we added with the pouncing and with the ribbon and the mold castings. This is going to bring out all those features. And this is what it's looking like. I'm loving it so far. Now it's time to peel up that tape. And this is what it looks like. It's not so much of a crisp edge, so I do have to come in with a razor in a little bit and just kind of file the sides. And this was easy to do because of that edge on there. Now I take this little crown mold that I made out of hot glue earlier, and I'm going to paint it in the Mayan gold. And I'm also going to add some antique wax to it. And I'm just going to spot it off. Now I do rub a lot of the paint off of this because I kind of like that color of the hot glue. I feel like it looks really good against that foggy chalk paint color. So I add it to the top with some hot glue and type on as before. Now to help it kind of flatten to the shape of the bottle, I do add a little bit of heat, and that kind of helps it melt and curve because it softens that hot glue to shape. Now I'm going to take some lace from my stash and some of this gold. This is actually from the ornament garland from Christmas time at Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to hot glue it like so, right underneath that crown. And now I'm going to cut the tails on all these ribbons. And then I add some more lace. And then I trim down the lace. And then I add some more lace. And I trim it down again. And obviously this part is totally up to you. Use your favorite ribbons, your favorite textures. You can use junk jewelry as I'm about to right now. And I lost my other earring, so I figured I would just put it on this project because it kind of adds more of that shabby chic vibe. And it matches the fact that the crown is kind of like dainty and royal. So I love mixing gold and silver in my decor, so I don't mind this. And I love the pearl on it too. It kind of gives that, what is that called? Totally Dazzled vibe. I don't have Totally Dazzled, but I have this junk jewelry, so I'm gonna make it work. And that's it for our two-sided decor piece. Let me know what you guys think about this one. I'm so happy with this one. I think it's gorgeous. Those angel wings could not go to the garbage, guys. All right, let me know what you think about these projects. Let me know which one is your favorite in your comments below. Thank you so much for watching my video, guys. Without you guys, I wouldn't even have a channel. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with whoever you think might enjoy it. If you want to support my channel, you could do so by buying me a coffee at the link below. You could also follow me on social media at these things. Thank you so much to Kim over at Creative DIY Purpose for collaborating with me today. I had so much fun upcycling with you, girl. Thank you so much. Friends, don't forget to check out Kim's video as part of this collaboration. I've linked it in the comments box below. And thank you for watching. Take care, God bless. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. If you like this video, you might also like this one.